Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a very, very special edition of Encrypted Connections. God, it feels like I haven't been here in quite a while. It's been a couple slow weeks, few slow weeks for the show. And look who just pops in immediately. Look at who pops in immediately. Never fails, does it? Never fails. He's always here when he needs to be. I love this guy. Hey, Bubba. Huh? You a happy boy? He's a good boy. You want to show everybody? Huh? You show everybody how cute you are? Well, anyway, yeah, feels like I haven't been here in a while. It's crazy. It's been a crazy few months. The show took a back seat for a little while for me to get myself in order, my mental health, emotional well-being, yada yada, all that stuff. Excuse me. And then because of all that, I failed to book dates for people who I'd been in contact with to come on the show. And then we hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, and I've been focused on trying to get this going, these shows going, which we thought was going to be one show. Now it's turned into two, just so we can have the right people on, the people that I really wanted to have on and thank and all that good stuff. And so things will be picking back up, though. I've been in contact with a lot of those people. We're booking dates, and things are going to be getting back to where they were before. And I appreciate everybody for stopping in and being here for this whole time. You guys are amazing. You're the reason that we're here. 1,000%. No pun intended. Without you, there is no 1,000 subscribers. Period. And you're also the reason that that I do this. The best part of this for me is you guys. It's why I enjoy taking the walk in the morning. It's why I enjoy going in the woods. Well, I mean, I love the woods, but it's the best. Having you guys along makes it so much more fun. And so I'm just so grateful, so incredibly grateful for all of you. It's really, really been such a wild ride. I can't believe that we got here, and especially as quick as we did. It's not me. I say we because it is. It's we. It's you guys. It's the people that have come on and helped get you here. And we got some of them. Some of those people are going to be here tonight. I see one right now who I am incredibly excited about. Golly, you guys, if you know me, you know that that this gentleman who I'm about to bring on is backstage, who I didn't really know was going to be here. This was all Long Island Bigfoot's doing, and I love him for it. If you know me, you know that this gentleman is somebody that I hold in the highest regard, the absolute highest regard. If this was basketball, he's my Michael Jordan. Uh, and we're going to bring him on right now because I don't want him sitting backstage and I want to be able to talk to him. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be very excited for this. Mr. Mike Patterson, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Kyle, how's it going, man?
How are you, brother?
I'm all right. How's the audio first? Because I don't have headphones on. So
No, you sound great. You sound great.
Good.
Yeah. Wow.
Good.
Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, no problem. This camera, it's really I don't know how to turn down that brightness, man. It's insane. So anyway,
that's all right. You look good.
Well, washes me out a bit. So
yeah. So listen, man, I'm very excited. This is a really cool surprise. Mike had mentioned something to me, and in my head, I thought, well, man, I hope he's talking about Mike. That was what I was thinking. So I'm really happy you're here, man.
I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate, this part of this for me is 1,000 subscribers to me is huge. Like, this was huge. I never thought in a million years that I would get to 50. I thought when I started this that I was going to be doing it, and it would just be something for me. And if I got some people along the way, cool. So 1,000 subs was a really big deal. It seemed to happen much faster than I ever thought it would. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to have wonderful guests such as yourself come on. The biggest thing, like, I'm a fan, right? I say this often. I'm a fan. I love the topic. I love the subject. I love watching the documentaries and the videos and listening to the audio and all. I could talk about this all day. And so when I get to sit down and speak to somebody that I've looked up to for so long, like yourself, man, what a thrill. It's so amazing to me. Hasn't lost any of its luster either. I still get excited when I saw you backstage. I was like, oh man.
You know me, brother. I'm just like you, man. Right? I'm some guy given a gift that was meant to be shared, and
right.
Some people know it's real, and others, they get their back up. So, but it's just part of the journey.
Well, we here know it's real, and we appreciate that you do share it, man. I know that there's people out there that are always going to have something to say negative, and you're going to get your trolls and all that crap. But just know that we at this channel and these subscribers, these folks here, whenever I bring things up, like whenever I say, if you could sit down and talk to one researcher, or if you could go out with one researcher, if there's somebody you want me to have on the show, who would it be? It never fails that Mike Patterson is always, always, always spoken about on those lists. Always, man.
Appreciate that, brother. I want to show this too. Like this is it's hard to see the toes in this one because the
oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's like a 17-inch. That's not Neff's. That's another family member, right?
Oh,
and then this one, that's actually this year, this winter, right? That's not Neff either. This is I think this guy is only between 14 and 16 years old, and his foot is bigger than Neff's was at 17. So, so that's this winter. This guy here, right?
Wow.
So that's two other family members.
Wow, that's amazing.
I think we've been given 9 names so far.
9?
Yeah.
Oh, what are they?
Some of them I don't really know how to pronounce properly. So, I asked them once, "What's your mother's name?" They wrote Omra, O-M-R-A.
Okay.
Which is interesting because it's close to Oma, which I think means like grandmother.
Right.
There's Mushka, Ninyanin, Neftia, Anastasia, Ashantia. One that looks like it's like Bridget or Bergiet, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Another one that was written was like Porgi, and another was like Ugrath, Ugrath. Those two were given on the same visit. Yeah, so there's been quite. I said Mushka. I used to think that Mushka was responsible for a lot of the stuff, more recent stuff going on, but I've learned different. I think it's a younger family member. So I don't know which one that is yet. Trying to pinpoint who's who, it's even 10 years later, it's difficult. I still don't know how many are in the family, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it all goes back to the nature of what these guys are, what they do, I mean, it's their job to be elusive. It's their job to try to remain hidden and keep us guessing, right? I mean, where would the fun be if we knew it all anyway?
Yeah, it's funny because it's like they do. I think they know our true history.
Yeah.
They know what goes on behind closed doors, and from things that have been stated, they can see ahead in our timeline. I don't know to what degree, but which is why I think they are exposing their people and connecting with humans, right now, growing number, right? Because they see what's going on and what's coming. So
Yeah. I mean, it's no coincidence to me that I don't believe in coincidences anymore. And I think that, we've talked about this. I talked about it with a few people that, when people bring that up, why do you think the number of encounters is rising? And people always go, I think, to that, well, we're encroaching on their land more, or their numbers are growing, and so people are going to see them more. I tend to lean more towards the fact that, like you said, there's something that they know is going on. And they're trying to either they're getting ready to try to help us in some way, or show us something. I don't know, but I don't think it's as simple as we're just encroaching on their land more, especially if you believe that, like I believe, and like that they don't really need land. The land is secondary, right? They come and go from our natural world as they please.
yeah, I don't understand how it all works. They are nature beings. They do live in the woods. As far as their understanding of energy, they're able to travel. I don't know off planet. They are terrestrial, from my understanding. This has
Right.
always been their home, from what I've gathered.
Yeah.
I did have an experience years back that they basically said soon your people will know. So that's why and how it's evolved over the years. To me, this is a reveal, basically, right?
Yeah.
I have I got an email from Dmitry Bainov, who he passed back in May of 2020. Him and both that's a shame. Like both him and John were very supportive. John Bindernagel, and the only two supporting scientists that I had. The rest of them, but anyways, Dmitry at one point used the term Bigfoot Gate, as in a cover up. He can see it. And he'd been involved since 1964, so
Sure.
he'd been in this since before I was born. But yeah, it's interesting stuff.
It is. It is. I oh, here he is. Here he is. All right, let me bring Mike on real quick, because he's the person who set this up, as he did for so many things. Ladies and gentlemen, Long Island Bigfoot.
Sorry, guys. I'm all plugged
Mike?
in. Hey, what's up, brother? Good to see you.
This is an all-star lineup if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, those two guys up there.
Oh, no way. I'm the rookie.
Yeah.
I'm learning from you guys.
We're all rookies, right? When it comes to the Sasquatch, we're all rookies. They spoon feed us. You know what I mean? They're patient, as Mike says. They're patient with us, like
I suppose that's true. Suppose that's true.
Patience of a rock, pretty much.
Yeah, right.
Although I do have a piece of audio where Neff yelled at me out of frustration once. You know, I was trying to pronounce something, and it seemed simple enough to me, but I obviously was getting it wrong because he yelled at me, basically giving me shit.
What I watched something the other day that I had. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I was gonna say, but like when Bubba was trying to tell me his son's name was Janus, it's spelled like Janus, and I just was saying Janus. Like I was saying Janus, and like I kept like getting the like nudge, like, you know, kind of like no, you know, like almost like no, dummy, you know what I mean? Like no, like you're not doing it right, like. So I ended up like Googling it and like, cause like I kind of knew where they were going with why, like what the meaning was and everything. So I looked it up and like, I was like looking up the pronunciations of the way it was like said and spelt. And I realized it was Janus, which is like, you know, comer of new beginnings and like gatekeeper and things to that effect, whatever. And I guess that's what the purpose behind it was. I don't know. You know, sometimes I wonder if it's like Bubba's not his name, you know what I mean? Like I've come to learn his real name, but we still just go with that because it's just what everyone knows and what flows, you know what I mean?
I desperately need to get out there with you. I want to see this this area and your buddies out there.
Which one? TP Village, the one I showed you today?
Well, no, I want to go to Bubba's.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different story. Like I'm sure Mike knows too. Like you could go anywhere and they can go anywhere. Like once they're connected to you, they'll meet you wherever. It's pretty much on their terms for the most part. But going there is like, it's just like, I can't explain it. The last time I was there, I had this like, I felt like I wanted to like lay down, like, you know, I'm in the middle of the woods. I felt like I wanted to like lay down, like I was at my grandma's house or something, like, and like, you know, smelling her cooking or something, like that kind of feeling. Like I felt like I wanted to like lay down. I was so relaxed and like just this overwhelming like feeling of like comfort, and like I can't explain it. Like it was like a beautiful experience, you know. I was like, man, I just want to like lay down and stay here, you know. Like
yeah, they can go anywhere, it seems, you know. And my own experience has shown me that like literally anywhere, even in your vehicle, it's that crazy. Been numerous incidents in the vehicle, but when I go there to their home, it's night and day difference, you know, from them showing up periodically. You go to their home area, they're all, every time they show up, I might not know it sometimes,
right,
but I run audio and they'll always let me know through the audio, and that could be 6 hours straight of breaking sticks and clacking rocks, and you know, it's pretty obvious. It's blatantly obvious, but you know, I'll hear it going off in the background a little bit, and I'll be questioning, is that you guys? You know, and sometimes I don't know if they're there, but I get home and check the audio, and yeah, sure enough. You know, still after 10 years, it's very subtle a lot of the time, and secretive, right? Very, very hidden.
Well, I have this problem. Mike says this to me quite often, you know, because I'll always say, well, I don't know. It could be something else. It could be something else. And inside, I have the feeling inside, like I feel them there, you know, and in my head, I'm going, I know that's not a woodpecker that's making that noise. I know that whistle was not a person because there's no people around, but I still say, you know, I don't know. It could be something else. Mike's always telling me, like, listen, you gotta listen to your heart, bro. Gotta listen to your heart, man. And inevitably, he's usually right.
and talk to them, just
there's
like
there's
they're
a
standing beside
yeah. There's an initial instinct that happens, like something happens right away where you know what happened, and then I always tell people, like, remember that, say it out loud, no matter how crazy it is, say it out loud, write it down, whatever, remember it, because every second that goes past, that brainwashing that we've had over our good course of our life, the human doubt, me, I'm my own worst critic type person, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm videoing, so other people might not be ready yet, so I start to say, like, well, it could be, and I do things differently, that and that, so gradually things snowball away from the reality, just because the reality seems so far-fetched. But it'll get more and more normal for you. It really will. I mean,
It's starting to.
it never.
It's
I
starting
don't.
to. I mean, I had that weird thing happen yesterday, Mike. You'll probably appreciate this. This is the first time this has happened to me, and of course, my first reaction was, well, could have been a bird. But I went out yesterday to the area that I go to regularly now, that I've continuously had activity every weekend now for the last 2 months, and it was snowing. There was nobody there. There was not a single person in that park except for these mountain bikers who came through when I was on my way back. So I'm out there, it's snowing, it starts snowing harder and harder. When I go back to my car, first I'm on my way back to the car, and right before I get to where the parking lot is, and mind you, the parking lot itself, you have to drive down this road into the middle of the state forest, and then it opens up into a parking lot. So you're surrounded by forest on all sides. I mean, deep forest. It's not like a parking lot right by the road or anything like that. But anyway, I pull into, I'm walking to the parking lot, and right as I'm getting, I don't know, I was probably about 300 or 400 yards from it, I hear a wicked loud tree knock, super loud. And I stopped dead in my tracks. I was like, oh my God, I'm live. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? You guys had to have heard that. Followed by a whistle. Then another tree knock and another whistle. So I whistle back, right? I'm trying to find a stick because I'm trying to knock back, and I can't find a stick. And I was frozen at this point. I had been out there for like 2.5 hours. I was soaking wet. I was frozen. And so I waited a little bit and nothing happened. And I said, I got to go, guys. I can't feel my hands. And I get to the car and I'm about to open up my trunk. And on the window are 4 little sticks. And they're in their shape. The first 2 are like this, with one across and then one attached to this pointing out like that. It almost looked like a backwards high.
That's interesting that you say backwards.
Maybe if you got in the car.
So I believe that somehow they're mirrored from this dimension. And because I've seen writing on my vehicle in the snow, and there was stuff going on way back, and we suspected somebody, so they wrote his name, on my car and confirmed it for us. But it was backwards. It was written backwards, like it was mirrored, right? And I've asked them about the 3 dot thing in a triangle, something about how we can do what they do, and they drew dots beside it like a mirror, like it was mirrored, right? So so maybe it was a high. So
crazy.
Just backwards, right? So yeah, definitely sounds like you had their presence going on there. And next, like if you do that again, I would even just try talking out loud or in your mind, because they might be tapped into your consciousness.
Sure.
Because I've had one incident comes to mind right away where I'm outside Dwayne's cottage and I just quietly say, "Where are you now?" And
a lot of people like frown upon, like, you don't even have to do it out loud, the speaking to them, like they're telepathic. People call it mind speak or whatever, but reinventing the wheel, I don't know why, it's just telepathy. But I mean, people always look at it like it's such a crazy thing, but I mean, I grew up Catholic. Like, I don't practice now, but there used to be hundreds of us in that church every Sunday praying telepathically. We don't, not everyone, when you go back to your pew, you don't pray out loud. We would do it telepathically, in your mind, and it was received. So to me, it's just something I've always practiced. So it's, I'm an only child. I talk to myself all the time, so I'm kind of used to it. But like you said before, something too, like that's the one thing that I've always had an issue with, is like, oh, it's the deep woods and this and that. So it's like, it don't matter. Like I've been doing this on Long Island first. I know how close they are to us, like right next to us they could be. And, I used to have this mentality, like, because people would instill it in me, like, oh, they can't be there. Why would they be near all those people? It's the same concept as, like, why did that Bigfoot cross that road? Like, out of all those mountains and woods, why did it cross that road? What was it doing crossing that road? Or why was that deer out on that road? Why did it cross the road? What the hell's the road doing in the middle of the woods is the real question. You know what I mean? Like, what are these roads doing here? Because those woods were here first. We slapped that shit in the way. You know what I mean? So technically, we're the ones interfering. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny, going back to what you said about talking to him. The one of the most active days that I had out there was probably, I would say, maybe 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks, maybe a month ago. And it was the day that I first spoke to them out loud and then started singing. People in the chat were like, sing, just sing.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that why you started singing? That was cool.
And I started singing just different songs. And it was like after the first song was when they started knocking again. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just go with it. Right. I mean, it must be getting their attention somehow. And so I continued to sing. And then I would talk in between singing. I would say, I'm your friend. I'm here. I'm coming peacefully. I want to form a relationship, whatever I was saying. And then I would whistle. And it sounded like they were trying to mimic it. That's what it sounded like to me. There was no bird. The other thing about it, too, those woods, they go dead silent. I mean, you could literally yesterday when it was snowing, the snowflakes were like the tiniest little snowflakes, and they were coming down very sporadically. It was so quiet in there, you could hear them hitting the leaves. That's how quiet it gets. So then when these noises start, that's when I go, okay, this is not some animal. Like, this is something else going on now. And you can feel it. I could feel it every time. It just gets charged. You get this feeling like the eyes are on you, and the energy just changes, man.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Just a quick thing. I say to people all the time, just do that and say, hey, can you touch me? Pat yourself on the head. Ask that once in a while. Hey, can you touch me? Pat yourself in the head. They'll likely never do it when you ask, but one day all of a sudden,
Very
you get
true.
touched in the head and you're like, holy shit,
Crazy.
Just try
Well,
it.
I remember you had Chris, because Chris wasn't a believer until recently, and you told him, ask for something. And he asked for a footprint. And then he got the footprint.
You're talking
Chris Ryan discovered Sasquatch. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy to see him come from the 8 camp and finally get to experience full on, So
it is a beautiful thing. I try not to impose too much on people, because the process is fun. Like, looking back, like, it was fun when I was a believer. Like, even the believer stage before that encounter, it's fun. That's a fun stage looking back. As a believer, it's like you want that exciting. You want that, I gotta see it, I gotta know. But looking back after you pass through there and go to the next stage, it was a fun time. It really is a fun and exciting time. And like, I never try to rush anybody's process. process. But that's why I love what Mike is saying. Just do it in your own way, do whatever you want to do, and have it your way, but just talk to them. Like, there's really not much to it, like there, there's like always so much overdone. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that are over the top done and just so above and beyond necessary.
Yeah. For like one of my favorite things when I'm out there, when I start to get that feeling, is literally just to stop. I just stop everything, and I'll stand there quietly, just dead silent, and listen and wait. And almost inevitably every time when I do that, that's when I start hearing movement in the bushes, when I start hearing footsteps. And it sounds like when I'm sitting quietly and I'm not doing anything, that they come closer. Now, I don't know if it's maybe because they feel safer because I'm calm and docile and relaxed. But yeah, almost inevitably every time when I do that, that's when I start to hear them moving around. Whereas if I'm up and I'm moving and I'm, whistling and stuff, they don't move. They'll do the rock clacking, they'll do the whistling, some tree knocks, maybe some vocals, but they won't move. They stay in the same spots. And
yeah, you think they do.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, it said you think they do. Yeah, right. You're probably right. I think I'm almost positive there's 4. I'm sure there's 3, because I've had 3 different spots knocking and whistling at the same time. But I've found 3 different size prints there so far too.
That's huge. That's more than most people get, like, ever.
And those were all found in the last 4 months.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you do know, but the first year I did like what you're doing, interactive live streams. That's how I started. And it was good for me because I was a very unsure person. I was very I liked having the people there, and it was good for them too. Like, it was just a fun thing. But eventually I branched out of it. Well, whatever. Live streams weren't an option for me after a while. It just wouldn't work ever. I could have full
You're way too far out there.
No, not even that. Sometimes I don't know. I don't want to play the conspiracy games and shit, but it magically just stopped. So when we started getting close to things started going haywire. But it is what it is. You got to roll with the punches,
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, and it's exciting for other people too. So what you're doing is really important. It's good.
It's very fun.
Yeah. So congratulations, by the way, on 1,000 subscribers. It's a huge milestone.
Yeah, right on, Kyle. Good. Glad to hear it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. It was very exciting for me. What was really cool about it too is that I was able to see it all happen live. I was on live on a show just like this, and Mike and Bigfoot Lake were in that chat, and they were counting down. Well, actually, there was a few people counting down.
A lot of people started chiming in. It was like, it got crazy. It got cool.
Crazy. These guys were.
Somebody had multiple accounts, and they kept signing out and signing in and hitting subscribe. It was so cool. It was fun to watch. Cool. It was only like, because that last 20 subscribers, you kept teetering in and out, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, why does it keep just playing back and forth? It's like here and there, and it's not. I know you were like, well, we'll get there, but like, I don't know. Maybe I took it more personal than you did, probably. But I was like, what the hell? Why is he losing one? Like, I was like. I was so happy that happened.
I knew we'd get there, and I was frustrated at times because I felt like YouTube was playing games. I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube, but I felt like they were playing games. I felt like I'd get 3 subscribers and then they'd take 2 away.
Oh, they've knocked me down big time.
Yeah, and it's happening again now. I went up.
My subscribers go up a lot, and my views go down. So go figure. How does the math work? Like, how's that possible?
Makes no
How can
sense.
more people come in and less people watch?
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
But regardless, the point is, it's much less about the subscribers. It's so much more about the like being able to do this, being able to go out in the woods every weekend, and interact with these beings that so many people think are not real. I laugh. I have people walk by because there's those trails out there. Some of the trails out there are very heavily hiked, right?
Mm.
People hike them often. And so it's nothing for me to have somebody walk by me. I'm standing out there with, 2 cameras and a voice recorder and an EMF detector and a tri-field meter and a parabolic dish. And I look like a weirdo. And I'm literally standing still in the same spot on the side of this like hill. And people are walking the trail behind me. People stop and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And inevitably, every time I go, "Oh, you think I'm crazy when I tell you," but they always want to know. So I don't even say that anymore. I just tell them, I go, "Yeah, I'm out here looking for Sasquatch," and people think you're nuts. They're just like, "Oh, all right, well." And one guy said, "It's mostly bears," and I'm like, "Yeah, yep, sure, mostly 9-foot bears."
Well, I told you I had an encounter experience, whatever, not too far from where you live at, and I didn't
Yeah.
know at the time. I didn't know. I was told bear. I had never been around a bear. Or a Sasquatch. So, to my knowledge, so I literally thought I had a close encounter with a bear. But how could a bear? I mean, it's blizzard down, snowing. I'm on the side of this mountain in Stonington, Connecticut. And how can this bear get this close to where he goes, and I see this giant cloud of his breath go in front of my face. If a bear was that close to me, there would have been more of something that happened. You know what I mean? So looking back, I'm like, I didn't just look up and not see the bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was only a 3 to 5 foot, visibility at best, but breathing in my face, I would have seen the bear. So,
Yeah.
looking back now, I'm like, damn. And that's kind of how we tied into realizing we overlapped a lot of, Kyle and I overlapped a lot of locations and exact places and exact things, and it's pretty interesting how things unravel.
Yeah, there was a lot of synchronicities when we finally started talking and found out about places that we both had been, things we had both experienced and gone through.
Well, Kyle, I spent a lot of time with those Pequot Indians.
Yeah.
There's not that many of them yet. I spent a lot of time with them. They're right there where you're at, bro, and they will openly tell you they're here. They're here. They walk around. They're here. They're here and they walk around. We don't bother them. The white men stay by the casino. They don't bother us. We don't bother them. That's it. Like, they don't care. They're so open about it. It was like the coolest thing ever. I've never had, like, even the local tribes here. It took me forever for them. They studied me so hard before they opened up to me, and I can't talk to anybody about anything we talk about. I talk to them quite often. I can't speak about any of it, but I enjoy it still.
Yeah, they can be guarded. Me and my mom are going to go to the Mohegan Museum, I think maybe this week, hopefully. She's been wanting to go for a long time. I really want to go. I really want to talk to the historian there and see what they're willing to share about their folklore on it. Because obviously
can we dive into?
Can we what?
I'm sorry. Can we dive into that? Do you mind about, like, your mom coming around?
Oh, my mom. Yeah, that's crazy. So mom's a huge skeptic, Mike. She's very grounded in, supposed reality, right? She's very analytical, and she's She doesn't believe in anything that sounds kooky or crazy, and didn't believe at all, not even one bit, right? And since I started the channel, it's given her access to so many different people. You know, she watches you, she watches Mike, she watches Donnie Miller, she watches Christopher Noel, you know, and now seeing so many people who she can tell are normal, down to earth, regular people who aren't crazy, right? Telling these encounters and experiences. Yeah, well, maybe some of us are a little crazy, but
A lot of bad shit, apparently.
yeah. But you know what I mean. She
I
can
do.
tell. She can tell that so many of these people are regular people who have integrity, and so after a while she started, you know, talking to me about it, and then now it's like she's a full-on believer. She just can't deny it. Between seeing so many people and then seeing the things that happen to me when I go out and do these lives every weekend, it's hard to refute that, right? How do you refute something that's happening live, live streamed? This is not no edited video and no anything. If it happens, it's happening right then and there. And so that's hard to kind of deny. But I think it's the cumulative of so many regular people who are just out there saying, listen, this happened to me, and now I have a relationship with them. Like, they come around regularly, and man, it's really cool. It's been so fun to see her open up. Really, it's been one of the best parts about this.
Yeah, I agree.
That's like, you're lucky to have that your mom is open-minded like that. My family, they it didn't take much to convince them. You know, like right at the start when I was showing footprints and that, but they're convinced I'm dealing with demons. So
Yeah. Here she is right here.
It's
There's
hard.
mom. There's mom right there. Hi, Mom.
Superstar. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
You know, the way my mom came around was I was actually staying with her full time, and it just kind of like, it was like a thing, you know. She'd be like, "Oh, you're doing another show? Like, what show? Like, what show?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's not like a show. It's like I'm like a guest somewhere, and like they asked me to come on and talk about Bigfoot." So like she started watching a couple, I guess, like without me knowing, you know, and she started to like figure out she started to like see what I was doing and watching. And she was like very skeptical, she would drop it here and there, talk to me about it here and there. And I was like, all right, no problem, whatever. Like, I get it, you know, I get it. No worries. Like, I get it. Like, it's not for everybody. Like, it's not going to be on everyone's forefront. You know, if you don't want to be involved in it, like, there's ways that you could never be involved in it if you wanted to be, you know. You could go around your sheeple life and fine, no problem, right? No, started coming to the house, and you know, she was so she started seeing and hearing the activity, you know, the house slapping, the tappings on the window, and I would be getting texts like late at night, like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm asleep." And so lo and behold, she was like, you know, they were playing with the sensor lights and doing all these things, and you know, I don't know how they manipulate the sensor lights but they'll be working perfectly, but if they feel like turning them off somehow, they just do. You know, like it still senses that something's there, but the bulb doesn't turn on. Not exactly sure exactly how they can manipulate that to work, but anyway, long story short, there was enough activity where she was like, "Do you think you could ask them to stop after a certain hour?" And like Mike said earlier, you should just, you know, ask them. So I did. I said, "Hey guys, like, do you mind at night? Like at night, you know, us humans, we have to rest and stuff. And this isn't my house, so if you really need me, come by. But otherwise, could we keep it down?" And
That's funny.
I know how weird it was for her to ask Sasquatch to keep it down. Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's not.
As far as like electronic manipulation, what I've witnessed so far, they've put short, like couple seconds here. I think the longest was 9 seconds. Little video clips on my video camera. There's some hair movement. Is it an arm maybe fills up the frame basically? Done that a couple times. I've witnessed my phone get manipulated. They've sent text. I'm on location and I've caught them doing it. It happens. There's been picture text sent to me. They've done a voicemail thing. There's been dozens of images put on my cameras. It's insane what they can do. It really is. And people think that's just, that's just crazy. They can't do that. No, they can, man. I'm telling you.
Listen,
They can.
I believe it 100%. Last weekend I was out there. I have a portable battery, right, for my phone. So my phone starts to die. I take a USB to, Apple charger and I plug it into this portable battery bank. I charge this thing every before I go every time, right? And I never have less than 3 dots out of 4. 4 dots. Okay. This has two plugs in the bottom, so you could charge 2 phones at the same time with it. And you could charge 2 phones, or you could have them plugged in. And with 2 phones plugged in, each phone is supposed to get, I think, 12 hours of use from this battery. So that should equal 24 full hours of use, right? This thing had 3 out of the 4 dots last weekend. My phone was 100% charged. In 45 minutes, my phone was dead. And then when I plugged into the battery ended up going dead, I think, in another 40 minutes too. That's not. It wasn't cold. It was 50 degrees, so can't tell me it was cold weather.
No,
so
even cold doesn't. Cold doesn't. It has to be such an extreme cold for that to happen. Yeah, no, it's I don't know if it's them necessarily that drains it. I know people always say that it's them that drains it. I don't know. I don't know if it's them directly. You know what I mean? I think it's sometimes just them being around, or when you're in their area or something. I'm not sure. I have no idea. It used to happen to me often though. My cell phone would be at like full, and I'd be out there filming for a couple minutes, and I would just watch it deplete like crazy. I've had them put pictures, Mike, on my phone, and it's been like, sometimes it's been interesting. Like sometimes it's been like really hard to make out what's even going on. Like the last set was three, and I couldn't even make out really what it was. It was almost like dark with like iridescent colors and stuff. But when you said that Neff left a voicemail like that blew my mind. You know what I mean? That opened up a whole new. I remember when you said that. That was a couple years ago. I remember when that happened, because it was like, that blew my mind.
I had joked about them doing that first, like, because of I think there was some text message stuff that had happened, the night before, and Dwayne and I are talking, and I joked to him about them. Yeah, watch next. They're going to leave me a voicemail, and they did it on the way home. And my phone just did something weird that it's never ever done before or since, and just the way it showed up, right? And there was zero information, and
that's so cool.
It was just bizarre.
Well, I mean, so there you go. There's proof right there. Then, if you want more, if you haven't watched, when Chris went down to Florida with those guys on the trail to Bigfoot, and the crazy stuff that happened to them, where they got that they were getting like Morse code messages, or not Morse code. They were getting these messages on their phones from a no number. They were just popping up, and in the messages it was spelling their names. I mean,
that's cool.
You got to watch that video. If you've never watched that video, it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I remember watching it and getting just the hair on my arms just standing up, going, "Oh wow, this is special."
Yeah. Especially to capture it. That's great.
I think it was code. I don't think it was code. I think it was like a bunch of zeros and ones or something, and it ended up spelling out their names. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Craziest thing I've ever seen.
I've learned in more recent visits about the smells, because so many people talk about the smell factor, right? I've learned they create different smells, and they can mimic a smell, and they turn it off and on like a light switch. So this has happened inside Dwayne's cottage numerous times now, and there was even just some different smells. Some putrid smells, and some were nice, and I've had it directed right up my nostrils. And Dwayne's sitting right there; he can't even smell it, and I'm just like enveloped in it.
Oh yeah.
And it's not pretty.
That was another thing I kept questioning too, because I would have these things happening around me, but I never had any smell. I never got those putrid smells. Never. It's only happened twice to me that I've had any kind of smell, and both times it was the same type of smell. It was like, it smelled like old urine. Is what it smelled like. An outhouse. That's what it smelled like to me. Like an outhouse that had been in the sun.
Well, it makes sense. Like Mike saying, and if they could turn it on and off like a light switch. I mean, if they didn't want you around or something at that time or whatever, and they wanted to turn it on, almost like how a skunk can spray you. If they could just turn it on and off, if they want to make you feel comfortable and relaxed, maybe I don't know. I've heard people say they smell like somebody's baking like blueberries or cupcakes in the woods, and and they go nice. And they follow it, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it sounds like some Hansel and Gretel shit. You might want to get out of there. Like, I don't know. Like, you gotta, I'm not there. Like, people will call me for advice while they're in the woods, and like they're like, this is going on. I'm like, it's a lot of pressure.
Well, if they really wanted to get me, they've heard me talk about blueberry Pop-Tarts and Pepe's Pizza so much in the woods that they just let off a pizza smell. They'd know it. They'd draw me in.
Well, there's only one way to eat a Pop-Tart.
That's right. There's only one way to eat a Pop-Tart. There's one way. That's it. One way. You eat the edges. You eat the edges first.
Years ago, before right when I was just getting involved in this subject. So this is like, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago. I was up the west side of Algonquin. We had this one spot where we were getting some activity, and it was one of those dead still nights. You know how it is. We get a lot of those, in Dwayne's area, just so still you can hear a pin drop literally. So it was one of those nights, and I was with this other guy. His name was Mike too, and we're sitting there, and suddenly I get this smell just come out of nowhere. It was like rotting flesh. Smelled of rotting flesh, and it was really strong. And then suddenly it was gone, just there, and then gone, and nothing, no sounds around us, no movement, right? So I can look back now and know that was Sasquatch, even though that there's a lot of bear in that area. I would have heard a bear still, at least. They can be quiet, but not as quiet as it was. I would have heard something, right?
Yeah, that's
we were getting activity there too, though. So
that's crazy.
It was them.
Well, they're
it's like I don't. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. The gorillas have these glands in their armpits that they can control. They can make them so active that their armpits will actually bubble like foam, and they can turn that on and off at anytime they want to. So if there's any relation to ape at all, right, then I mean that right there is a natural thing that they do. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean we're 98% chimpanzee DNA, I think, or something like that, right? Compatible.
Yeah.
Like it's not that it's like a bad thing to be like have like similarities to an ape. It's just like I get offended by it only because like not offended, but I feel bad for people because they sell themselves short at that point, At least when it comes to the Sasquatch, like as a person who learned like Reiki, like when I was getting my healing going, like when I was like at my down, my base level, like when I was like, all right, I have to start everything over. My brain injury came. I was getting sober. I was getting my clean slate involved. That's when I started doing yoga and meditation. And, meditation was so far fetched for me. Like the first guy who taught me how to do it was like, just sit there and just don't think about anything. Like, and if you do start thinking about something, just come back. And I'm like, man, if you knew what was up in my head right now, like, and it seemed so impossible. And I started doing the Reiki, and I started learning how to become an energy healer. And I'm like, this is pretty much right around when the Sasquatch swooped in at the same time. It all lined up perfectly, And I don't think you do anything in your life, really. I think a lot of your life builds up to that moment when you meet them, and it all adds into the piece of the puzzle that you are going to be with them.
Yeah, agreed. I think some people have things happen, throughout their lives that lead them on that path, that push them that way, for years and years and years, until they finally get to that point where they're given that gift of an encounter, or some kind of interaction and activity. They're meant, I believe those people are definitely meant to be there. Oh, Linda, real quick. No, I believe they're more like us too. I was just saying, if there's any ape, DNA in them, then it would make sense why they could do the scent thing. But I believe they're more like us, absolutely. And also, yes, I do like sweets. I get my penchant for snacking from Mimi. Mimi's a snacker too. But yes, and my favorite
I have
snack of all time is ice cream.
Oh,
just so we're clear.
I got bad teeth now, so I can't mess with that cold. I have to like put it in the back of my mouth to eat it. I can't let it touch my teeth anymore. But or a lack of teeth. But
getting old, man. That's what happens.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of like ape kind of gibberish vocals that I've recorded over the years too, like very, very apish,
Yeah.
And I said before, I do know what Neff's space looks like, and that's ape human. You can see both.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so closely related. I wonder often about like I know a lot of this stuff, not a lot, but I know some things they can do when they're in that like energy form, or like they've taught me how they can like manipulate all these different things. I break it down into a blending and bending, like Avatar Last Airbender. Like they've shown me that they can bend like different elements, and make it work for them, like the sunlight and water and wood and whatever else, all these different things, and how they blend then further into whatever, almost like melding into like the wood and disappearing in a sense, I guess, when they're in the flesh. But when they're in the flesh, I have all these like you were just saying, I wonder if they, like similar to gorillas or whatever, like I just have all these questions, like when they're physical form, like I wonder things, like when they're walking around in the physical, I still don't hear them. When they're walking around physically, like in flesh and blood, I still don't hear them. I wonder sometimes, do they have like, how elephants are so huge, but
so
yet
quiet.
so silent, and they have some sort of like, I believe they have some sort of like padding on the bottom of their feet of some sort. I wonder sometimes if they have something similar, and
people see them, and
it's
sometimes
just
they say they glide, right?
Yeah.
They glide through the woods.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's what it looks like. I mean, when they move, it looks like they're on one of those escalators at the airport. There's just this smooth, none of this bobbing up and down stuff that we do. It's
quiet.
It's so quiet. It's so perfectly smooth, and
Yeah. If you're honest with what you see, it's like, the description doesn't really match much,
Yeah. Hey, Mike Patterson. Linda G wants to know: have you seen Neff orb cloak or morph his size?
I've seen orbs. You know, the most incredible one was like a red plasma pulsating orb that was basically a show put on for us. And I wish I could remember that date, because if I go through my videos, I could probably figure it out, because I think there's some time missing with Dwayne and I there. We thought it was like 5 minutes. And I vaguely remember back then it was more like 25 minutes, right? I've been touched in the shoulder and swung my head around to see a dark form dissipate, and it disappears as soon as I look. I haven't seen him in his full glory. You know, I hope one day I do. I've asked his family. I don't normally know who's writing the answers. It's multiple family members, I think. And I have asked, is Neff afraid to show himself to me? Is it, well, to not scare me? And they said, no, that's not the reason. I said, does he hide from bad humans? They wrote, yes. So I've found out that I'm watched by bad humans. I've asked them that. They know, man. It's amazing what they know, right? So I don't know to what degree that those eyes are on that situation, or myself, or or Dwayne, or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know to what level. I hope it's not at a level where they stay hidden for that reason, and that's why I don't see them. I hope that's not the reason. I don't know why, but so I've barely had glimpses here and there, but I've said before, I do clearly know what his face looks like.
I have a question for you, Mike. You may not be able to answer it, but you've been doing this longer than I have, and you've had, contact with the same family for so long. If you had to take a guess, a 15-inch footprint, how old do you think a 15-inch footprint would be? How old do you think that Sasquatch would be around?
This one here is about 14. So they
So big.
They they vary, obviously, right?
Yeah.
That print, when Neff was 17 years old, his foot was 12 inches. This guy is younger. He's, I think, because he was seen when he was young. He was witnessed indoors, sitting on the couch. As soon as he was seen, he disappeared.
Okay.
But it was noticed that his feet didn't touch the floor yet. And now, and we hadn't heard about him for, I don't know, 8-9 years now. And then suddenly he comes into the picture and his foot's 14 inches now. So I think he's probably about 14, 16 years old. So 15-inch print, it's difficult to say,
Yeah.
Like Neff's, like I said, was 12 inches. The last I saw it was 2 winters ago. I'm hoping he shows it this winter, but 2 winters ago, and it was at 16 inches. So, that's 4 inches of growth over 8 years. I think Neff's probably in the 10-foot range at this point with an 18-inch print. That's my guess, right? I'm just speculating. The big guy is, I've seen an inch growth from 20 to 21 inches on his foot over 8 years, I think. So it's difficult to say, it could be a teenager. It could be someone in their 20s.
Yeah, I know it's hard to say. I'm just curious because I feel like the activity that I get is it's been very, very playful. It's been very docile, playful, a lot of mimicking. I've even had like a couple really, really neat vocals that were higher pitched, sounded like they were like, one of them was like this, ooh, like I was this weird high pitched like whoo noise. So I was just curious because it, you know, a lot of it seemed like childlike stuff. But then you got this 15-inch print. Then there was the other one was 14 even. Well, the first one was 14 and 3/4, then 14 even, and then this last one was 11 that we found.
If there's one word to describe their people, it would be playful.
Yeah.
And that's a general consensus throughout from everything that I've witnessed and spoken with others about. Even the big guy who's like 12 feet tall, probably who knows how much he weighs, but he's, from my understanding, the big guy of the family. You know, he's even shown humor with putting a partial footprint on the back window of my vehicle in the snow. You know, this was back in 2015. And he actually showed up in my dreams. It wasn't a dream. He showed up, and he's the guy I got to shake his hand, his fingers.
So crazy. You know what's funny? You say that. I watched this documentary. I was talking about it just the other day, yesterday. I watched this documentary just recently. I think it was like 3 days ago. I believe it was called Sasquatch, My Spiritual Journey, or A Spiritual Journey. It's on Amazon Prime. And it was this gentleman who had gone to a Bigfoot convention somewhere. I forget where. And basically what transpired was they were in groups, and the groups all had different areas to go to for their, you know, investigations. One of the groups went out during the day to kind of scout an area. When they came back, they told the other group, hey, listen, we're not going out tonight. We're good. We got up to this area. There were footprints, there were structures, there was vocals. Like, we're not going out tonight. We got everything we want. And so the guy's like, well, cool, then I'll take my group out there. They end up going out to this area. He didn't quite get, I guess what happened was they had put flags up, like, to let them know where to go, and so they could follow the flags on the trees or whatever. And they had gotten to, you know, a certain area, and then the rest of the flags were gone when they got there. So they didn't get to the actual area. He ended up going back, finally getting there, and when he went home, he had a dream. And this person, this Sasquatch was in his dream. And he said the dream affected him so much. He just said it just felt so real. And then he ended up going to the shaman, and the shaman helped him to communicate through like meditation to them. And it was really cool because it was very different. It wasn't like most of the documentaries you see. This was a totally different swing on it. And it was just, it reminded me when you talked about your dream, it was really, really good. And it makes me think, like, I believe fully in being able, that all of us could probably communicate with each other in that way, telepathically. You just have to kind of work to get those abilities back to the, you know, back to in working order. But it would be really neat to see if you could do that with, you know, someone to guide you to do it.
They understand how to traverse consciousness to the individual and make those contact dreams. You know, it happened years back, and they brought one of the kids to me. You know, I remember I was asleep on the couch, and you know, in this dream I was asleep on the couch, just like I was in real life. And I remember there was a female in my peripheral. I could sense her. I couldn't see her. I could just sense her. And they brought one of the kids to me, and I got to hold her hand. And I remember, you know, she's standing like at the size of a 4-year-old, and I could feel her emotions. They were running through me, you know, with that physical connection in that ethereal state. I felt all her emotions to the point where, you know, I was alert to the point where I actually gave my hand a little jerk to get a reaction from her, not to scare her, just a little bit. And I remember it was almost like it was an explosion of energy when I did it. And she was so freaked out, but so happy and like just mind blown with this contact that we were having, and she didn't let go. And and when that happened, I just felt it all run up through my arm and through my body. I could feel her emotions like they were my own, right? And it gave me the understanding of how they feel energy. It's such a pure level, so intense. It's absolutely just mind-blowing how they feel energy, and this is also how they understand language.
Yeah,
I learned that from them too. This is why they know all language, because it's all energy, and they read the energy.
yep.
Not everybody is able to right away. Like, for instance, that gentleman, probably they came to him in his dream because he was, probably just a regular guy who didn't have much spiritual contact at the time. You know what I mean? Much, uh, consciousness and calm abilities, if you will. So, like, they'll reach a lot of people in their dreams in the beginning. They used to do it with me. Now I'm able to, like, receive different things like downloads and mind speak and, different things when I'm, walking around and walking about, and I notice things differently. But in the beginning, it was more so they would come to me in my dreams more often. So I don't know if that's anything to do with it, but that is. I'm glad he went and got found some extra help and followed through with it. Some people might get that dream and just write it off as a dream, and that's the end of their journey.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I was at a
Well,
conference,
I mean,
so I had a Bigfoot dream, and that's it. And then they go about their life.
I think a
So
lot of people don't know about these things, though, right? And one of my favorite things to
yeah,
say is, if you don't know, you don't know. So you if you don't know about the fact that you, that we all have telepathic abilities, then
sure.
you have no idea. If you don't know about things like astral travel, a dream may not just be a dream. You could be
Mhm.
astral traveling to that place while you're dreaming, and that's fully real. That's a real thing that you can do, and
Sure.
you can teach yourself to do that. It's
Well, not to
crazy.
go on a dump,
Um,
not to go on a dumpster dive, but if you go on mainstream anything on these topics like TV or whatever, or even just Google search any of these topics, the things that will be in that search are garbage. It's the things that mislead you and guide you nowhere and take you nowhere and make a mockery of the whole thing. And the little guys like us, well, it's where you could actually get the real information. I don't, like I said, I don't want to dumpster dive and go into that whole shenanigans of it, but you get what I mean. Like, it's hard. It's hard for people to find find out what the real deal is. It takes a lot of
yeah,
work.
it's very
Yeah, there's
difficult.
a lot of people involved in this subject that I'm always trying to share information, and I see most people just not don't even think twice about it.
No,
Still asking about you know stuff to me that really doesn't so far past it at this point, right?
right. Well, it becomes this. I think one of the biggest problems, and then I'll stop. We won't have to talk about it. But one of the biggest
No, no,
problems
it's
that
okay.
bothers me is that it's this like high school mentality with a lot of these guys, where like they're in these cliques, let's say,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed in because you don't believe what we believe, and so for that reason we're not going to share anything with you, and we don't really care what you have to share with us. And then the ego thing is obviously a big problem too. My whole thing, like, I go out in the woods, I joke when I'm out there, I laugh, I'm a wise ass, like, I I want to have fun doing this. That's the thing, and I think that they can feel that too. If I'm going out there all miserable all the time and like trying to hunt a Sasquatch, that they're not going to come around. I'm not trying to hunt anything. I'm going out there to try to have a spiritual interaction with another being that just happens to, be covered in hair and is gigantic. But these guys go out with this different. They go out with this different. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is.
We get it, bro. Trust me. It'll get more and more frustrating as you go along. Trust me.
I say it all the time. They are the epitome of don't judge a book by its cover. Big time.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So Linda wants to know if Neff visits you at home, wouldn't he have to morph down in size?
Not how or I don't know how they do it, but with their abilities, it doesn't work that way. They can show up in complete invisible form in the living room here or whatever, and knocking my table like they've done before. Or I remember the second day I moved in here, I got this shelf in the corner, and I had a mask sitting there, and a bead had fallen out, and I was unpacking, and it rolled down the side of the shelf, and I just left it. And the next day I go looking for it, and it's gone. It's like, where the hell did that go? And then suddenly it starts bouncing right in front of my face on the shelf at basically my eye level. It just it was impossible for that to happen, right? So here you go, Mike. This is what you're looking for. So they're right here in the living room, and no, there's no in that state. There's no there's no walls or anything like that. I've been in my vehicle and changing a battery, and a marble hits the window. It ends up being it would hit the passenger side on the inside, and then after I find it, I'm sitting there and in my center console, another one lands in my little change thing, and in the center of the vehicle inside, and it's like they're standing right there above me. There's no walls, no vehicle there for them. They can just walk right through it. I don't know how they do it, but I don't think they have to.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, Linda. I don't know, but yeah.
Janelle, was it Mark that told the story about how they were opening, or they were turning the lights in the car on and off? Was that Mark that told that story in Becca's car, or was that somebody else? I want to see if it was Mark, but somebody I had on told the story about how they would come outside and the lights on their car would be on in the morning, and the battery would be drained, and this happened over and over and over again. And then one day, there was a handprint on the window, like right in the middle of the window, and it was a big old handprint. So right there, they're inside the car.
Greasy print.
Big greasy print, exactly. Yep, big greasy print.
Lots of those.
I know Snow White Bigfoot's had them inside of her car and her house before too, and I mean it's just nuts, man. And I know people don't. It's so hard to believe. I get it. I totally get it.
I've had that on the chalkboard inside that I used to write with. I remember one time there was all this grease all over it from their hand, right? Just kind of cleaned it up and kept using it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I start to spread out. I start to spread out the things that happened, like because I feel like if I talk about them all at once, I sound like a lunatic. I sound like a crazy person, like with all these like stories of like things that are right impossible. Like, but I've started to not give a shit.
That's where I am, Mike. That's where I am. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You can't.
And actually, I just want to say too. So this is big for me. This is a first for me. So this coming week, I'm doing my first live. I'm doing a 2-hour presentation at a university. I got asked to speak, do a lecture. So
nice, man.
So happy, bro. I'm so happy.
Never done it in my life. I got a PowerPoint presentation all ready to go, and yeah,
that's amazing.
Never done anything like that in my life, but I figure be fine because I know my stuff, right? So look forward to it. And they expect about 150 people there. So.
That's amazing, man. Couldn't happen to a better person.
I'm going to.
I mean, inviting them in to talk about Sasquatch in a university is huge. Like, it's awesome. My brother Gary does it too, up in upstate New York. I think it's amazing. Like, I think that's such a huge step. It's amazing, and it couldn't have happened to a better person. Like, no, we couldn't ask for anybody better to speak on the topic.
I appreciate that, Mike. I'm going to try and hopefully I can record it, with my video camera, set that up. See if I can
that's definitely a huge nod. I mean, a university is a place of learning, right? This isn't just a Bigfoot convention. Not that that's a bad thing either, but to be asked to go to a university is a big deal.
And that demographic too, that age category, I think about 18 to 25 in that range. I'm glad that I get to go in and show them the real stuff right off the hop, and here, you can take this path and avoid taking the long road if it's crazy, but it's real. So
are you gonna bring like the prints in there with you and stuff? The casts?
I'll bring casts and stuff. Yeah,
that's gonna be huge for them. Like, tangibly hold that. Like, just a lot of them are. You could talk to somebody about a 16-inch print, but like, I remember when I talked to you when I was trying to cast that one up in the Catskill Mountains at our house. I was like, hey, Mike, like, its heel is in the mud, and like, you were giving me all these tips and like what to do, and like, I screwed it all up. I got it, but it wasn't perfect, but
I've messed up some good ones too. So.
Well, you gave me so many good tips, and then the material that you said to use, it looks like it's gonna work a lot better, because I was using plaster of Paris, and so.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah.
What do you use, Mike?
Hydrostone.
Yeah, hydrostone. Yep.
Yeah, 10,000 psi.
Cures in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, depending on the temperature. All mine are pretty much in snow, except for the beginning, way back when there was I think about 5 or 6 young, and the water had receded on the lake and exposed the swamp area, and I think there was a bunch of freshwater snails in there, and I think that's why they were in there. So there was roughly I don't know, maybe a couple hundred of their footprints. Cast a bunch of those. But no big deal.
No big deal. No big deal. No big deal. It's a couple hundred.
Trying to walk
so nonchalant.
And even it was tightrope trackways, even with the young prints too, right?
Yeah, that's what. So of the 3 prints I found, 2 of them, well, one of them was a single. It was one solo print crossing a wide path from a big grassy field into the wood line, and it just happened to step into some sand. The other 2, I got a print, an actual print with toes, and then that was in the mud, really wet mud, and all you could see the first 3 or 4 toes. You couldn't see the 5th, and then you could see just the back of the heel, because everything in the middle was all water. And then in front of that, there were 2 more impressions, but it wasn't mud. It was like hard packed with pine needles on it, and you could see where it had stepped. The pine needles had been pushed down and pushed out to the sides, but it wasn't defined. So there was 3 there. Those were all tight roped. I think they were 44 or 45 inches in between them. I think something like that, if I remember right. I'd have to go back and look. And then this last one, the same thing. The first one was a full print, toes, heel, everything. And then the next 2 were on harder ground. So there was just impressions, but straight line, just straight line. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
And I learned too with their, because they love to mess with us, right?
Yeah.
So there was one night that Neff had left a trackway, but it was the same foot, and then like 5 feet, same foot. We'll say left. I can't remember left or right. left foot 5 feet, left foot 5 feet, left foot. And it's like, what the hell? How, how's he doing that? And I realized after time that he's walking normally. He's just choosing to show that print each time.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was gonna say before. Like you like when I heard you say, "Oh, he just happened to hit the sand," like maybe, or maybe he left it for you. You know what I mean? Like it could very well be he just left you one. You know?
Yeah.
I view them. I view prints as gifts because they don't
100%.
make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like they don't make mistakes. They don't leave that print behind unless they meant to leave that print behind, or or they felt comfortable enough to, et cetera, et cetera. You get my drift, but
I agree. Real quick, I just want to touch on this. Strangeland said, when you go into certain areas, hang ribbon in one long strip, you may see movement with no wind. It's a way to understand a lot in time. The other day, when I was out in the woods, there was no wind, none, not 1 mile per hour, no wind whatsoever. Okay. There was one tree, and it was not a small tree. It was a big tree. There was one tree that just kept swaying. I could watch the top of it swaying back and forth, and then it would stop. Then it would start again, and then it would stop.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hear it creaking as it's doing this. I had no explanation for it. I kept saying it out loud. What is this tree doing? How is it doing this? There's no wind. No other trees in this forest are blowing. None of them are moving. This one tree. Strange, man. What is that?
We have, they're just, they're manipulating something for your attention. I've seen isolated little drips of rain come down. I've seen isolated wind. We have one tree up on the mountain. Like you could see over, there's like tiers, as there's a road that goes up the mountain. So like we're like on this flat part, and then there's a road that goes up, and there's houses tiered up, but there's this like, tree line for the most part, and there's these huge trees, and you could see them above everyone's houses clearly. And there's this one every morning when I step out that door, there's this one particular tree, and all the leaves start dancing, and it looks like something's up there shaking it like pom poms at a football game. Can't tell you how to do it. I brought my wife out there, saying, "Look at this shit." She's like, "Oh yeah." Like, we can't, you can't make sense of it.
Yeah.
But now we can,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I stood out there and I just kept doing that thing that I do, where I go, oh, I don't know, maybe it's just an old tree, maybe it's, and then and you're going, no, trees don't just rock back and forth for no reason. It just doesn't happen.
Sometimes it's healthy to do that too, because you don't want to be the guy that, that just says all of a sudden now everything is Sasquatch related.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like you don't want to just do that either. So it's good to, if you could debunk yourself, it's good. It's a good thing. Like you should know how every animal in your area, how different things work, how all those sorts of things, like how wood expands and compresses in different months and of the year and all sorts of crap. Like
I agree.
And I think you knew a lot when we were out there. When we were out there that one time for that short period, you knew a lot about a lot. You knew a lot about a lot of stuff that was going on.
Yeah, I mean, you one thing I know a lot about. Like I know a lot about animals. I've always known since I was a kid. I was always in love with animals, so I always studied them, both in real life and then reading about them, watching things about them. So I always was very aware of what was around me, where I was, what different animals sounded like in this area, that area, whatever. So I was always good with that. I think a lot of the other stuff comes just from being out there, though. The more you're out there, the more your boots on the ground and you're in the woods, you start to understand the noises that everything makes, the smells that are around you. You start to notice what's normal and what's not. So it comes with experience, man. You know, the more time you're out there, the more you get used to it all, and then the more you can pick out what okay, so that's natural, that's normal, that's not natural, that's not normal. You know, bushes don't just shake violently on their own. That doesn't happen in nature.
And then there's trying to distinguish Sasquatch vocals from, like, here's a good example. Dwayne and I, we get to his cottage. It's a Saturday afternoon, middle of the day. We're sitting there in the living room, and suddenly the loudest, insane wolf howl right outside the walls. It was so loud it sounded like it was indoors. That was no wolf. That was them. You know, it just,
Yeah.
it's not a wolf. Wolf doesn't come out and do that. And then I've recorded them where they get the coyotes going, and you hear they're moaning. And then I have these recordings of, you know, these wolf howls that start up. It's like, now I can look at those and say, that's not a wolf, man. That's them. So trying to distinguish between, somebody put there earlier, 1,000-pound owl too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's one of my favorites. I love that.
As somebody who's been in suburbia and heard them mimic so many things so perfectly, like cat fights, dogs barking, Harleys revving, trucks backfiring, sirens for the fire department, whatever, things like this. And then I go up into the mountains again, and now I'm experiencing that for over a year now, and it's like they're more Sasquatch sounds, like regular things that you would expect to hear a Sasquatch make. So I said to myself, why would, but they can't necessarily do it here. So sometimes I think they do those things, like maybe they kick up the coyotes and then put their vocal in there because they're hiding it. They're doing it to say hello, or they're hiding it for whatever reason, or they're mimicking and they're hiding themselves. Like they're communicating, whether it's with you or with each other, but they're I think they're mimicking because they're hiding their out loud vocals from, society or somebody, some unsafe situation, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I've heard.
I'm sure there's more reasons, but that's one that I've picked up on.
I've heard many recordings with coyotes where you hear that other vocal that's in there that's off. It's just off. It's not.
Yeah, it's off brand. Yeah,
it's not a coyote. Even though part of it may sound a little bit like a coyote, but it's not quite a coyote. So yeah, maybe they are trying to mask a little bit of that, blend in with the surroundings a little bit.
But then you have, like Mike say, like they mimic the coyote right outside his wall. You know what I mean? So that's like, so now it makes me rethink, why they do it. So it's interesting.
Camping says, yeah, so true. Using deduction, like are falling acorns in January a normal kind of thing? Nope, they're not. It's also not normal for a pine cone to hit you in your shoulder, at coming straight at you. It doesn't fall from above. It hits you straight on in the back. Pine cones don't fall horizontally.
I always challenge people to take something. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say I've had a lot of time where I pitch my tent and there's a lot of acorns falling, and then I check my audio, and some of those acorns they're just hitting the ground a little too hard, and just bouncing off stuff, and you can tell there's force behind the whatever's going on there. It's they hide their activity among the sounds of the forest or among the animals, or it's just how they are, right? They very very good at what they do, at blending in with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They're smart, man. They're smart.
I always challenge people to like take a rock or an acorn. If one comes in, take one and check the trajectory of what what did it sound like when it came in. Did it sound like it came from above and it passed through a bunch of leaves, like, just from like throw one up and see how it sounds. Coming down. If you throw one through, it sounds way different. You'll only hear it hit a couple of things, usually like toof, toof, and when it comes and lands, it sounds a whole lot different. And there's very like you said, like you could tell if it comes straight down or it comes at like a with a force, with a trajectory from an angle or
Yeah. Linda, yeah, Mike said he's going to try to tape it, his visit to the college. He says he hopes he can, but he doesn't know yet, right? You don't know if you can take your visit to the college yet?
University,
sorry.
Just straighten you up on that one.
Sorry.
No, it's all good, brother. I'm just kidding.
I know, we know.
I'm bringing my, I'm definitely going to bring my video camera.
Okay. So he's going to try. I got a couple pictures that I haven't shared. I want to share them now. I posted, well, actually, some people have probably seen a couple of these, but there's definitely one in here that's not been shared, except I just shared it on Patreon today. This is a picture. Hold on, I got to get to it. This is a picture that I filmed, but Mike found it when we were out together. He went through the footage and he found this in my footage.
I did.
Yes, you did. I got to find the before and after frames, because both of the before and after frames, this is not in them. And it's in this particular frame. But I couldn't find them.
Yeah, you were with me. I got you.
I erased a bunch of stuff off my phone because my memory was so full, and I think I erased the before and after frames. But if I go back in my messenger, I think I probably still have them. But anyway,
if you want me to go and get them, I could probably find them.
No, you don't have to do it now. But hold on. I'll show you. This is crazy to me. I think, and you know me, I don't say much. I don't share pictures unless I'm pretty confident about them. I've probably only shared 2 ever.
That's why I'm surprised you're showing me.
I believe this is a Sasquatch peeking from behind a tree in a rock. It looks like a face to me. There's a circle around it. To me, it looks like you can see the right eye, the nose. You can see the highlight on the cheekbone. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
that's
there's a whole veil shit going on in this one for sure.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but I'd love to know what anyone else thinks, because you can see it looks like the sun's hitting the nose and the bridge of the nose, the brow ridge, that high cheekbone, right up the upper lip, and that dark spot is the right eye. You can even see almost what looks like the top of the ear.
I've seen stuff where I think they do things at ground level like that. I know another guy that I met up with a couple times there, Blaine Tyler. He's got a piece of footage, and I saved it from one of his videos way back, and he's got his dog beside him, and he's talking about how his dog's acting all weird, and there's a little bit of a hill there, and there's clearly a huge Sasquatch head basically on the ground.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it so many times at ground level. I can't explain it. I don't have an explanation for it either. But
I have an imposed image that they gave me on my camera, and there's a tree, and it looks like fingers wrapped around the tree and a head down on the ground.
Nice.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, when I look at that, that to me, it looks like a face. It looks like he's got his
You ain't got to
left,
sell me on it. I see
the
it
left
right
side of
away.
his face
I'm looking
lighted.
from a distance. So,
And like I said, the two
yeah.
frames before and after, it's not there.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I remember this. That was on the Big Mount, right?
That was on Big Mountain. Yep.
Yeah.
That was on Big Mountain.
That's a magical ass place. Yeah.
All right. What else we got here?
I mean,
Okay.
I'd love to give the real location, but
So this
I'll be right back, guys. I gotta let the dog out.
So this is questionable, but it's a little weird. This was at Patchogue, and Patchogue is also known to be very haunted. This was caught by Sandy, Squatch and Mountain Mama, in one of my videos, and it looks like a shadow figure, like a head, shoulders, arm, torso, and then the two legs. And not only was it caught here, it was caught in two other frames a couple minutes later and in a different position. I just thought this was pretty strange. You could see right through it, but you could see the shadow of it. I mean, it's very weird. This is zoomed way in too. So I thought that was kind of strange.
Yeah.
And then this was left this week. This was not there last week. This was left this week. It was one of the new structures. There was like five new structured things that they had left. One big X. This was a small one leaned up against a tree. And then there was a few other things, but this was neat because it was right by the footprint. And then
cool.
There's the print. There's the print.
Big toe there.
Yep, big toe. And on the video, I get right down level with the ground, so you can actually see the front impression, like the divots where the other toes are.
It's good when you can get in there at a certain time of day when the sun is side washing a print, or even at night when you can hold a flashlight and show the contour, right?
Right. So, I mean, you could see a little bit better now the second and third toe. The other two are harder to see. There's some dirt covering them up. And then this actually comes back to a pretty narrow heel, which is hard to tell here. But look at the rock pressed into the ground in that print.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. That was the most recent one, and that was right by that X, man. That was that was a good day. That was a really good day. I love it out there, man. I love it out there. I could stay out there every day. It's just such a beautiful place. It's so peaceful. There didn't even have to be any Sasquatch activity, and I'd still be out there all the time. But that just adds to it.
And where are you, Kyle? Where is that?
So that's in northeast Connecticut. It's a Patchogue State Forest. It's 13,000 acres of state forest, which isn't a lot for a lot of places, but for Connecticut, it's a really big forest. It's the biggest in the state. And it's for this state, the two places with the most reported activity are the northwest and the northeast corner. And this is right there in the northeast. Matter of fact, most of the reports from the eastern side of Connecticut have come from either in that forest or right around it. So I've been going now since, gosh, I don't know how long I've been going to that forest for about 6 months, 2 days a week, 6 months, usually about 3 to 4 hours, maybe longer, 5 hours some days. And I just started going out, and I just first started hiking, like long hikes, and trying to see if I saw any evidence at all. And then when I found what I thought was evidence, I found structures that I knew couldn't have been made by man. And then I had some other things, some vocals and some whoops. And so that when I found these two places, those are the two places I go back to every single weekend. I don't go anywhere else. I go there. Because I figure if it was there then, it's probably going to continue to be there. And why am I going to waste my time somewhere else when I know it's there? I'd rather try to get them used to me, which seems like it's happening at least in one spot, that the more I go, the more they're willing to interact.
I see a lot of people, assume that they migrate and that, and maybe some of them do. I don't know, but I know that Neff's family, they've always been there. Doesn't matter what time of year. I think maybe with some people that think they leave an area, it could just be they have gone quiet and they're not given the activity. They still might be there, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you're going and you're getting repetitive activity, sure, why go somewhere else?
Right. Yeah. I figure, if they're there and they're continuing to give me stuff, I don't need to go anywhere else. I'd rather be there. I'd rather have them, get used to me, my smell, my face, my behavior, all that stuff. And then hopefully build, some sort of relationship with them, which is, kind of the goal, right? It's to learn more and to try to let them know that, not all of us are terrible cancers to this planet and are not out there to harm them and, all that stuff. But it's so fun, man. It's amazing. When it started to happen, I remember the first day that they actually did interact with me. I was terrified. I was scared to death. I just didn't know what to do, man. You think you're ready, and then it happens, and you're just like, I was just stuck. Like, remember the hair standing up on end, and my heart started racing, and my first instinct was like, I wanted to run. Because you can't see them. Can't see them. I didn't see them anywhere.
Today, a guy came. There was a lot of people where I went, and I am not used to it. And there was this big gentleman in a brown Carhartt, work jacket, pretty big guy, and he was coming around the corner through the trees, and I like out of the corner of my eye I saw him, and I was it startled me still, because I thought initially I just thought it was a Sasquatch in the flesh, and I was like, and I realized it was a guy, but even still, it just kind of catches you, They have a good element of surprise too. I think it's part of their playfulness. I think they really enjoy that stuff.
Yeah, they love to mess with us for sure. I still have my moments, especially when I pitch my tent in a certain spot in the off season. I call it we'd like to go throughout the winter to Dwayne's cottage and that, and it allows us to, because there's snow on the ground, it allows us to keep an eye on things and any intrusions and that. But the rest of the year, when there's no snow and I'm pitching my tent in this one area, and I go there alone quite often, and I've had heavy footprints start, sounding footprints walking towards me. I just crawl into my tent and I'm thinking bear right away, so I get freaked out and sit up. And remember, I had a light in my hat once. I flip it on, and my it was just the mesh, so I could see no problem, and there's nothing there. So okay, and I knew it was them, and I go right back to sleep like a baby. Right? I'm comfortable around them. It's some of the other stuff that I'm not a fan of bears. So.
Oh, I agree with you there. As a matter of fact, yesterday, as soon as I stepped foot in the woods, I saw 2 impressions in the ground right next to each other, and they were big. They were big, and you could see claws in the front. And I'm like, oh shit, those are bear prints. Like it must have just stood there, or how they do that stomp thing? You ever see them stomp? Where they'll raise up and then they'll come down real fast on their front paws.
Not in person. I've seen on video.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what happened, because they were impressions, man. They were in that ground pretty good, and you could see the claws, and I was like, oh damn, this is not good. But luckily, I didn't see anything. Nothing. No, I didn't even come into any scat at all. I was pretty nervous though, because I was out there alone. There was nobody. Usually there's people at the park, and even if you don't run into them, you knowing that their people are there, right? The more people, the less chances that animals are going to be out and about. When it's quiet, they may come out because there's nobody there. So when you're alone in a giant state forest like that, it's intimidating. And I about shat myself yesterday because I had done my loop of the trails that I wanted to go on, and I was frozen. I said, I gotta go. I'm dying here. I hadn't prepared for the snow because I thought it was just going to be a little dusting, and it was like 20 degrees out. So I'm coming back, and there's trail roads through the whole state forest. They're very narrow roads. Like they call them roads. You could drive a car on it, but they're narrow and they're all dirt and rock, and they're closed for, I think, from October to March. They're closed. So I'm walking down these trail roads to get back, and again, snowing pretty heavily. I'm talking to the camera, and I'm on live, and all I hear from behind me, I have a hood on, right? My hood's up, so the sound's a little muffled. All I hear is this deep, that's all I heard, 20 feet behind me. I literally jumped right off the ground and spun around in like one shot. And I thought in my head, the first thought that went to my head was, okay, this is it. I'm dead. I'm turning around. There's going to be a giant Sasquatch behind me that's going to rip a drumstick off and eat it for lunch. And no, it was just a guy on a mountain bike trying to tell me that he was coming up on my left. I'm like, come on, fella. You couldn't have done that. You could have done that in a little different way. Take the bass out of your voice or something, God, man. Scared the hell out of me.
One time, I'll tell you this one, that happens to me actually quite a no worries. That actually happens to me more than a little bit. But this one time this is actually really fun. I was sitting in Bubba's, and I'm like, they're in this new area in the back, and like they guided me there one day. So I went back another day. I didn't share this video. Maybe I should go back and find it because it's kind of funny. But I got the camera up on this, like, there's a snapped off tree, so it's like half a tree. So I got the camera up in there, and I'm aiming it into where a lot of the new area looks like they're been hanging out at. Sun's beaming down, beautiful spot. So all these like nice trails in the pine forest and stuff going around. It's like sandy trails, and they come downhill, and some people bike back there, but not usually, because it's pretty rough. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, crisscross applesauce, soaking everything in, trying to like, vibe with nature and hopefully Sasquatch. Good 3 to 5 minutes goes by. I hear this kid comes flying down the hill and goes, ass over elbows, flying through the air. And he got up like right away. He was a young kid. He got up like right away. I was like talking to himself about it, and like I'm not saying anything. Like I didn't really react, I guess because of like the state I was in. He had no idea I was sitting in the middle of the bush, like he had no idea I was like out in the brush, like in the middle. So I stood up and I was like, "You okay, buddy?" This kid jumped 10 feet out of his skin.
Probably like, who's the weirdo in the bushes?
Well, this is why I was like debating on asking him if he was okay, because I'm like, he's probably gonna fucking call the cops on me. Like, there's some guy living out there. He's sleeping in the bushes.
That's the other thing that I laugh so much at is, when you're out there and I'm having activity and people walk by with their dogs, they have no idea. No clue.
No.
None whatsoever. They have no idea that
if you're off trail, people don't know.
Just 30 or 40 yards from them, there are these beings in the woods that are communicating with me, that are throwing acorns at me, that are throwing pine cones at me, that are knocking on trees. I don't know what some of these people chalk some of this stuff up to, because you hear these tree knocks, they're not woodpeckers. It doesn't sound like a woodpecker. It sounds like a stick knocking on a tree. Woodpecker sounds much different. or you hear the whistling. I mean, maybe they think it's a person. I don't know. But it just cracks me up. They're just walking by, blissfully unaware that
I did
this
it.
is going on.
I did a test one time. I was doing a live stream. I said, I'm gonna hunker down 5 feet off the trail and finish this. We'll just hang out. We'll just talk for a few minutes. And this was in a busy place. Pretty busy state park. And people walking by, mountain biking by, whatever. I think we counted 25 people or something like that. Not one of them knew I was 5 feet off the side of the trail, sitting there talking. Not one of them knew I was there. And it just goes to show how, self-involved people are. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's, cool, good for them. But it solidifies so easily how so much is missed that happens in the forest around us.
I used to play a game when I would walk the trails by myself, and other people are on those trails. If I saw somebody coming, I would step off trail, 10 feet and just stand perfectly still.
Yep.
And most of the time, they go right past and not notice. Sometimes they would notice, like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be fun. Maybe I'll try that next weekend. I'm a little harder to hide. I don't know how big you are, but I mean, 6'3", 280 pounds is a little difficult to hide. Well, then again, 9 feet tall and 1,000 pounds seems like it might be hard to hide too, but it doesn't seem that way.
I thought I was a stocky fella till I met Kyle.
No, thanks, Mike.
No, I'm just messing with you.
I thought I was stocky.
I think I'm probably about 190 now, maybe 193. Something.
Oh God, what I wouldn't give to be back down around 210 pounds.
A hair under 6 feet.
Gosh,
I used to be 6 feet, and then I had a skydiving accident. So.
You did?
Back in '97. Yeah, failed parachute.
No way.
Yeah, I hit the ground hard, man. I landed on a flat rock on my back, crushed my wrist, fractured my spine.
Are you kidding me?
I had a line over. It was wrapped around the middle, so I had some air. It's my fifth jump, and then I pulled my steering lines, which normally would break you, but I was inexperienced, right? So it completely collapsed the chute right near the end. So at the end, I remember my feet kicked up in the air, my chute completely collapsed. I just come down, slammed into a rock. And now my nephew does it, and I think he's got like 150 jumps in him now, and maybe even more at this point. And I thought, wow, geez, even knowing your uncle survived that, or that happened to him, and you still did it.
That's my biggest fear. Like I'm terrified of flying. I would never skydive. It just wouldn't happen. But that's like my biggest fear in the world is plane crash, or for some reason if I was forced to skydive and my parachute didn't open. My God, I can't even imagine the fear.
You know what?
Yeah.
This was wild. So just before I exited the plane, I'm sitting on in a Cessna. The instructor's sitting right across from me. I'm sitting on my ass. I'm just sitting like this. And suddenly my shoulder strap, I'm supposed to be tight. Suddenly my shoulder strap, and I'm not moving. It just went down my arm. Something pushed it off. Tried to warn me. And it's not the only time that's happened. Something also talked in my ear. I was in downtown Toronto. It was a Saturday about noon, sunny day, and some guy in a stolen minivan was he was cruising at high speed, running from the cops coming down, and he ran the red light. There was a car beside me, and I'm usually quick off the light, and something said something in my ear, just enough time to distract me, and that the 2 seconds that it took saved my life. It killed the person in the vehicle beside me. But something distracted me, something. And every once in a while in my life, you know, something happens where I'm shown that I'm being watched, you know, a voice,
Yeah.
whatever, in my, you know, in my
You know,
sleep, crazy shit.
this
That's
kind of
nuts.
stuff that you're talking about is like I know exactly what you mean to an extent. Like a lot of that like near death stuff has happened where I missed it by chance. Like not, and it wasn't by chance. It wasn't by coincidence. I don't believe that anymore. Like now, if I like can't find my car keys, like I know I just put this down here. I know I just put it there, but it's gone. And like I don't. I used to get so mad, be like, "Where the hell is it? Like I gotta get out of here." Now I'm like, "All right." Like somebody's slowing me down for some reason. It's got to be. Like it's got to be. Like there's, you know, maybe if I would have rushed out that minute and something would have happened, let me slow down and just, you know, let me take a breather, you know, because I don't know where it is everywhere else, but in New York, you could get, especially Long Island, maybe not up top, but you could get caught up in this rat race, even if you don't have anywhere to go and you're not in a rush. Like the way everybody operates, you could get caught right up into it. And yeah, man, I'm very grateful for all those types of things. But those, you know, that's wild, bro. You're lucky to be alive, but I mean, there's a reason, clearly, clearly.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't even. I can't. I've watched videos where people have fallen like that, and even watching the videos gives me an anxiety attack. Like I physically just have this reaction to it where it's like,
Of course,
you know,
yeah.
it's overwhelming. It's like, oh my
Bro,
god,
when
oh
I
my
play
god.
Call of Duty and I jump out of the helicopter, you know what I mean? In the video game, like my stomach drops. Like when I was in the army, I was stationed at Fort Benning, where they had airborne school. And they used to, you know, they'd have empty slots for so and so didn't show up or something happened. And they'd be like, "Oh, we have open slots. You could go where we literally live next door. We work next door." They're like, "We have open slots." I'm not jumping out of that shit. Like, I'm not. Excuse me. Sorry. I know mom's watching. Sorry.
No, please, you kidding me?
I probably cursed a few times here and there.
Don't worry about it. She hears
But I
much
would say,
worse
you know,
from me.
well, sorry. Anybody who's listening, I apologize. I'm working on it. But yeah, no, that was just not for me. Especially in the army, they take the fun out of everything. You know what I mean? I don't know. They don't even jump from high. I think they they do. They take the fun out of everything.
Oh my god, that's crazy though. I never knew that. Wow. No thanks.
I didn't either. As many times as how many conversations we had, I never knew that.
June 7th, 97.
Cold
Water, Ontario.
Golly, was that your last jump?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Then it was then I went to wildlife photography.
Oh, that's a big change.
Yeah. Chasing critters in the woods, you know. And that's what brought me to this, you know, and that's when
so crazy.
I know I was being watched. They had to have been watching me, you know, because I was in the woods all the time, man. And I think they liked what they saw. They liked how I interacted with nature.
Yeah, that's so nuts. See that again? No coincidences. No coincidences. You were guided there.
Something that's kind of similar.
Probably could have done it a little softer. They probably could have guided you a little bit softer and easier, but
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know who that was. I've asked Neff's family, have you known me since birth? Nope. You know, there's more going on with that situation that I don't speak about. You know, there's a connection with Dwayne and that.
Yeah.
You know, I was brought in to develop that situation.
Yeah.
Did a damn good job at it, I know. So
yes, 100%.
Yeah. I was happy to, you know, when you're looking for it and then you find it and you're scared out of your wits. And what do? You got it. There it is. What do? You got to jump in head first, or else what are you going to do? Give up.
Right.
Like here it is.
Sink or,
you know?
Yep. Sink or swim. Right.
Man, I had a few moments where my heart pounded so hard I thought it was going to pop out of my chest.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. I've had those moments myself. Nothing like probably nothing like you, but man, it's crazy how things work, man. When you I've stopped and thought a lot about it since starting this channel, even just the way things have worked to get me to where I started a YouTube channel, and the people that I've met and the things that have happened since then. Um, Most people would chalk it up to coincidence, but it's not. It can't be. There's so many things had to happen so perfectly, so completely perfectly, to put me in the places that I have been put in just over the last 6 or 8 months. That it just can't be coincidence, man. It just can't be. There's much more to it.
No, it's not. I knew. I mean, I knew when you were put in my way, Kyle. Like when you were put in my like, I don't want to say put in my way, but like when you came across my path, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people do, you know, every day. But when you came across my path, like I knew, like that I should connect with you.
Yeah, when we first talked, I knew too. I was like, oh yeah, this is again not a coincidence. We knew right away when we talked, and we found out that we had all these things in common. It was like, I mean,
Yeah.
it being from two completely different places and never having anything in common prior, right? And then we talk, and it's like we both ended up in the same places. We both were in Stonington right around the same time. Even, I mean, and then our backgrounds with the other stuff. It's just crazy. Just crazy.
Even the the fighting too, like I think has a lot to do with it. Like you were like how you did the cage stuff. Like I did that. I did the combatives tournaments in the army, and that was one of the big things they told me was like Sasquatch have told me they they've seen many wars and whatever, but they're very peaceful. It's not like they want to be warriors, but they told me like that they respected me for I was a warrior that knew my peace. Like I was good at being a warrior or whatever, however you want to put. That's how they phrased it. They called me a warrior that knew my peace, and they liked that about me. They liked that I knew how to fight and was knew I was good at it and like whatever. But I chose to take a different route, and that was something that they liked about me.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
That's where I gotta do some work.
Yeah. What? No, I mean I think we all do always, right? We all. I'm not
I'm just gonna say it's been difficult. The most difficult part is putting it out there and then dealing with the human reaction.
Sure.
It is. You're right.
Support is easy. That's great. But
yeah,
there's a lot. That isn't. That's subsided a lot over the years. But man, at first for a long time, holy crap.
There's a lot more responsibility on your shoulders, Mike, than there is with any of us. There is. Like you are the pioneer, at least for like who has come forward and been out there the longest. And anybody who wants to, like, if anybody wanted to cut, chop the legs out from under this the truth, they would cut the head off the snake, which is you. I mean, you've come first and furthest, and granted, there's been people that have had experiences for probably longer than many years and things like that, but you've been very, very much so on the forefront of this, and there's a lot of people that gun for you, a lot more than anybody I've ever seen. I
appreciate it. I think they were giving so much, and they always have. It's literally been 100% of the visits from day one over 10 years now, and they know what I do with the information.
Yeah.
No, so they keep giving. They also see my reactions sometimes when the camera's off too, right? it can be very frustrating. You get definitely get frustrated at times dealing with some of this. So.
100%.
It's there's that saying. Oh gosh, now I'm gonna mess it up, aren't I? With what? How's it go? With greatness comes great responsibility. Is that how that goes?
Yeah,
Something like
heavy lies the crown or whatever. It's the shit,
something like that. Basically, the whole thing is like
with great
have
power comes great responsibility. Some shit like that. Something like that. I know
when
what
you
you
have
mean.
something that's so important to share, there obviously is going to be a heavy weight to it. I mean, Mike knows that one of the biggest things that I struggle with is sharing things with people. Sharing, if I find an image that I think, is something special, I don't share it because of that, because of the backlash, because you're going to have people who just trash you no matter what. I could have a picture of Sasquatch as clear as you right now. And there are going to be people who go, it's bullshit. It's fake. You're a phony. You're a liar. You're a hoaxer. It's bullshit. What are you doing here?
Yeah. Or it's not good enough, and you filmed with a potato, and blah blah blah. Oh, cool picture of my my mother-in-law. Like none of it's original. Like it's all regurgitated. It's all regurgitated stupidity. Like, and once you really get over that hump, and like I'm at the point where I feel bad for them. Like I'm like, man. Like, I'm so sorry for you and that you're not gonna get this. Like, I was always that guy that was like walking around, like I was in school, like looking around. If I had a job, I was looking around. I was always like, man, there's gotta be something more to this. There's gotta be something more than this. Like, this can't be it. You know what I mean? Like, this can't be it. Like 9 to 5s, traffic, politics, like, and then when there was, it was so exciting. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, like I always tell everyone, as a kid, like my mom would say, where do you want to go on vacation? Like, we don't, like, let's save up and go to Loch Ness. Like, all we got to do is get there, and I'll show you where we got to be. Like, I know how to find this dinosaur. You just got to get me there. Like, that's it. Like, I was convinced. I know where to go. I know what to do. That's it. You just got to get me over there. And that was
it's so incredible to find this and know that it's once you connect to them, it's there, and it's the most incredible thing in the whole world. It changes everything. It gives hope. It's a whole new perspective on reality, and knowing that there's these powerful, loving, invisible giants, that are out there and connecting with us, and they hold knowledge and wisdom that is truth, because there's no lies with them. I don't believe that at all. They hold honesty in high regard. And they're not playing some
long game where they're like trying to trick us. Like, I get that sometimes too. Like, oh, you think they're trying to trick you? And I don't know. I mean, I don't throw my line in the pond and hope that if a fish takes like 4 hours to grab it, like I hope it gets it right away. Like, I want instant gratification. I'm pretty sure, whatever. That's a poor example, but I get amazed, like, with people like myself or like yourself who have a relationship with the Sasquatch, like a full-on relationship, and that's what we're openly saying. I don't understand how someone thinks they're going to come in and just say that's impossible, or they don't exist, or or they can't be there, or whatever. Like, how do they think that those things are going to affect you and make you like just walk away? To me, it just seems like a complete waste of time.
They are amazing.
Like, if I hate soccer, if I hate soccer, I'm not gonna go and heckle soccer fans. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna waste my time at around anything around soccer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of people that come in and say they don't exist, and it's, well, why are you even here? Why are you wasting one moment of your time? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunate, but it's the way it is. I think you said it though. I think what they give so much of is hope, is hope that there, you know, for that there's so much more out there. There's hope, there's excitement, there's that feeling that you had when you were a kid all the time. That you know, um, your
Yeah.
imagination just goes wild, and man, wow, imagine if this is real and that's real, and then when you find out that these beings are real, man, just so eye opening, and it makes things so much more incredible. It makes the world a really exciting place again to be. And even though
Yeah,
things
you
are
nailed it.
bad all around you, huh? But
It
Yeah, you
adds a
nailed it though.
mystery.
Like that's true.
yeah,
You know,
it's really it's amazing stuff, man. It really is. It's crazy to think that people, man. I know, I'm sure people think it's like you know, not just the subject, but how much a lot of us put into it is crazy. You know, yeah, it's nuts. I'm home when I'm home and I got time and there's nobody around. I'm looking for Bigfoot documentaries to watch. I probably watched every single one of them already. I still look for them. It's like it's so I can't get enough, man. I just want to know. I want to know more. I just want to know more.
I need to go back to day one with my audio and start going through all my files again, because I'm
Yeah.
sure I missed
Yeah.
tons of stuff before I really learned, right?
Sure.
Yep.
I'm sure there's all
Sure.
kinds of stuff going on that, you know, it's passed me by back then. But
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the other fun part,
Absolutely.
right? Is as you move forward, you learn more, and then you can backtrack. If you've been documenting, you can backtrack and go back and see, oh, I missed this, or I didn't even know this was a thing then. I didn't know this was a behavior of theirs then. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's
Yeah.
pretty fun stuff.
Yeah. I think
But
I have
listen,
I think I just cleared 1,500 videos, so I like that idea of like documenting and going back, you know.
1,500.
cool, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a ton.
Yeah.
I remember back in the beginning,
go
it
out
would take me probably 40 hours to do one video. You know, way back in the beginning, right? A lot of work going through all this
I
stuff.
don't edit it. I don't edit anything.
Yeah.
I just upload it as after I get it gone. After I get out of there, I just put it up.
Well, listen, I'm
All
going
right,
to
go
give
ahead,
you
Kyle.
I'm going to give you one last question, Mr. Patterson, and then I think it's a good spot to end this on. We've been here for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and
Wow.
yeah, it doesn't seem like that long. It doesn't seem like that long, but I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I battled a sinus infection for like 2 weeks before I finally went to the doctor, and I just started feeling better, but it still took a lot out of me, so I'm pretty exhausted today. So anyway, here's your last question. Mike, will you try to have a podcast with William Jevning?
You know, I can see the question there, and it's funny. Way back, I knew who Jevning was, and that he had about 4 decades, you know, back then, probably 5 decades now involved, but 4 decades, and he was still stuck in the ape mentality, in the ape camp, and he, you know, he was just another one who would accuse me of being a hoaxer, right? I don't know where he's at now, but I really was kind of turned off by him back then, and there's certain people I really want nothing to do with any, you know, at this point in time, and he would be one of them. You know, I don't know where he is. Is he still in that ape mentality? You know, I don't know, right?
I don't know either. I'm not sure. I'm subscribed to him, but I don't think I watch anything. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. I haven't. I honestly, I don't think I've watched anything of his in a very long time, a very
Yeah,
very long time.
I just kind of, at this point, if you're not on this side of the fence, I really don't
I get
really
it.
want
Trust
anything to
me.
do with you.
I totally get it because why would
Yeah.
you at this point? Why would you? It's like going backwards.
Yeah. Like,
You know.
certain people that, like Chris Reinhardt, I used to talk with him, and he was in the ape camp, and I was already on the other side of the fence. But Chris was, he was always respectable and would talk to
Sure.
me, and never had an issue with him at all, ever. And I was happy when he finally told me that he experienced some some of the stuff that changed his mind. So I'm
Yeah.
always willing to give the benefit of the doubt to those who are respectable and
Sure. Yeah.
weren't bad mouthing me or whatever back when, making fun of me and all that stuff.
Yeah. No. I'm with you. I just can't see. Because you're not going to convince them. Excuse me. Sorry. You're not going to convince them until they see it for themselves. So that's pointless. You can sit there and talk talk all day about it and say, well, what about this and what about that? And until they get there on their own, it's just not going to be done. So it's like going backwards. But there are those. You're right. Like Chris is a great guy. Chris is a wonderful dude. He's been nothing but good to me, and I was so happy when he finally said it too. Like, dude, I'm there now. I'm there. I've just seen too much to know that there's just so much more to them.
Yeah. Well, like for me, like I think I gained a lot of people's trust when I had filmed them a couple times in full body flesh and blood. The one time he's full on walking, like you could see him walking through the woods. So I mean, I could probably shine like like the North Star in the ape camp. So why, you know what I mean? Why talk about it this way? And I always say, why would we want to make it so much more difficult? Why wouldn't we want it to? Why wouldn't I just say, if I was just making up a narrative, why wouldn't I want it to be that it's just the hide and seek champion in the woods? That's so much easier. You know what I mean? Like,
I have to laugh at those who toss the hoax accusations around, and it's like you said, if you think about it, why would I come out and start talking about interdimensionality or invisibility and telepathy and apports and all this crazy stuff?
Yeah.
If I'm hoaxing, it's just and then those vocals, a lot of those vocals I put out, I've told people, well, hey, recreate them. There's enough people that want to see me knocked down. Recreate them. Do it. Let's see you do it. Come on. It's been 10 years now. Nothing's come out. So.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
And in fact, I've shown comparable audio more recently, which I pulled off Steve's channel. Right?
It's definitely been over 10 years. It's been over 10 years.
10 years with Neff's family.
All right.
Oh, I think 10 years with Neff's, yeah.
Yeah, I've been at it for 15 now, almost 15.
Gosh, that's amazing. That's 15 years. Wow, that's incredible. I can't wait till I'm there. Well, listen, guys, this was great. This was great. What a treat. You guys both are just amazing. I hope you both know how much respect that I have for both of you. I for years I knew who Sasquatch Ontario was. I knew who Mike Patterson was. I watched everything I possibly could. About you, and being able to talk to you and to form a relationship with you has been just a thrill, man. It really is. And you're a wonderful dude. I don't think it's a coincidence that that you've been given the responsibility that you have for this subject, because not everybody could do it. Not everyone could, and you do a wonderful job of putting all the truth out there that people need to hear, and I thank you for it, and thank you for being such a gentleman and coming on the show, and you know, man, your videos still, both of the videos of you are my highest viewed videos.
I appreciate the support, Kyle. You know, when this happened to me, I wanted to stand on the mountaintops and scream this to the world. It's like, I'm bringing this truth out. I don't care who's in my way. I'm plowing right over top of you. Nobody's stopping me.
Yeah.
This changes the world. It really does. You know, in our lifetime, maybe not, but it definitely gets the ball rolling. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And Mikey, man, you know, brother, from day one, literally day one, I remember I posted the first video, and I got a message from Long Island Bigfoot, and I'm like, what was so crazy about it was, here's the craziest part though. I post a video, I get a message from Long Island Bigfoot. I had literally, this is no lie, I literally just watched my very first video of him 2 days prior, and it was Teepee Village. It was the very first time I had found him. I had never seen him before. I watched this video 2 days prior, and then 2 days later I post this video and he messages me, and I was like, holy shit, I just watched this dude the other day. And then he was like, hey man, listen, like, you know, the video was great. If you ever need any help with anything, like, you know, I'd be more than willing to help you. Hit me up. I can get you in contact with some people. And you've done that. You got me in contact with Mr. Patterson. You got me in contact with Doug, and you've got all the other stuff you've done, and we've done together now. It's been great, and I'm telling you, it takes it's not me. I didn't do this. I didn't get to 1,000 subscribers because of me by myself. That's not the case. It's because of the people who
none of us can do it by ourselves.
No, you can't. It's
you're the next guy. You're the next guy that's gonna help the next guy, and another guy, another guy, another guy, and we know that. Like, we know that. You know what I mean? It's how it goes. And if we continue it this way, if we all continue to support each other and work with each other, and I mean, you know, like Mike's like Babe Ruth to me. You know what I mean? Like, if I was a baseball fan, like, it blows my mind that, like, he answers my messages. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. He'll always be like, you know,
I'm just some dude like you guys, man.
I know, but it's
we know, but I said it to Mike. I said to Mike the other day,
it's embarrassing sometimes to.
No, it's just like what you did for us, like in the stages of the believing stages. You know what I mean? Like, and even I think, like, you made me into a believing stage because nothing made sense to me until I bumped into your stuff. And I remember I would watch it on repeat, and I would watch some other stuff, and I would go back, and I would end up watching it again. And I found myself watching, speaking of Sasquatch, I didn't even know it was a series at that time. You know, I had chapters. I just thought it was that one long one. And it made sense to me. And there was a reason, you know, looking back, that I kept bumping into your stuff on, you know. I don't believe there's coincidence, you know. But or am I saying that right? Anyway, so yeah, so Kyle, bro, congratulations. Like, you deserve it. Like, you did the work. You did the work, bro. Everyone can see you're a good guy. Everyone likes you. Like, you do help everybody already. You put everybody first. Like, you already do it. You know, so, you know, hats off to you, bro. I mean, I'm so happy you reached this milestone. I hope you keep climbing, and obviously you need anything, you let me know.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I like I said, I couldn't have done it without everybody who's helped along the way, and that includes the amazing people who are in this chat every single time I have a show, every
100%.
time I'm live in the woods. the folks who are here are always here. It's always the same people. They're always there. They're always so supportive. They're always so encouraging. It's the greatest group of people that anybody doing this can ask for, and that's why I wrote 1,000 subscribers because that's what you call it, but it's not. Nobody in here is a subscriber. This is all friends. This is all family. I talk to every single one of these people, every single one of them. I talk to all of them, and it's because of all of them that we got here, and I'm so grateful. I really am. I'm so grateful. You guys have made it so much fun, and I know it's going to continue to be fun moving forward. So, thank you guys all so much. I have nothing but just never-ending love and respect for all of you. And so I'll be back Wednesday. Tentatively, Bigfoot Lake, hopefully, if he's feeling better, will be on with me. Donnie Miller will be on with me, and possibly maybe one or two other people showing up on Wednesday also. And I'm going to leave you guys with a couple of things. I know things have been slow here. I hadn't been doing these shows, but I have some really fun people coming up. Mark Copeland, Livewire. Kerry did an Odyssey on him. He's agreed to do a show next week. Barry Webster from Sasquatching. Working to get Hellbent Holler on either maybe like a Sunday or two from now. And a bunch of other people, but I figured I'd let you guys know that we're getting things, we're back rolling again. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I love you all. I'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
My pleasure, and congratulations, Kyle. Awesome.
Thank you very much, guys.
See you guys. It was great talking to you guys.
You too, man. You too. All right, guys. Have a good
Thanks,
night. I'll
Mike.
see you on the next one.
Okay. All right.
Good night, guys.